Some thieves in Georgia got an unexpected surprise when they tried to rob a woman at a gas station. The woman was pumping gas when she saw a blue sedan pull up. You can see here in the video, one of the passengers jumped out and was about to get into her car, but the car owner was too quick, jumping through her open window to protect her car and her belongings.
As soon as I seen
the would-be thieves took off empty-handed. On the Medical Watch, researchers are developing a new way to detect prostate cancer. Traditionally, doctors detect the cancer through a biopsy procedure guided by ultrasound imaging. But this method doesn't clearly display the location of the tumors. A team of researchers at UCLA has found that a new method, including the use of MRI, increases the rate of prostate cancer detection. Their 3-year study shows the MRI combined with the ultrasound imaging led to the detection of up to 33% more cancers. Rates of deaths from suicides, drug overdoses, and alcohol have reached an all-time high in the United States. The Commonwealth Fund took an in-depth look at data from all 50 states. It found that West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania are the states with the highest rates of drug overdose deaths. Adding to the overdose epidemic is the increased use of fentanyl and other synthetic opioids. States that are most affected by suicide or alcohol deaths are Montana, Nebraska, the Dakotas, Oregon, and Wyoming. The researchers say a big common factor in all of these states is access to good health care. More evidence confirms that eating too much meat is linked to health problems and a shorter life. A new study by a team at Harvard shows increasing your red meat intake by just a half a serving a day can result in a 10% higher risk of early death. The risk goes up if the red meat is highly processed. But replacing red meat with other protein sources like fish, nuts, beans, and whole grains will help you live longer. Researchers say it's further proof doctors and nutritionists need to educate the public about meat replacement. Human brains and those of non-human primates like monkeys and apes process visual information in much the same way, but they're different when it comes to sound. Scientists from MIT and the National Eye Institute studied how the brain of humans and rhesus monkeys react to auditory stimuli, particularly harmonic tones. Their findings suggest that human brains listen for musical pitch, a preference not detected in the monkeys. The study is published in the journal Nature Neuroscience. New details about a federal fugitive task force shooting that killed a man in Memphis. The shooting sparked violent protests in the street. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says marshals shot 20-year-old Brandon Weber as they tried to arrest him on multiple felony warrants. The agency claims he rammed into task force vehicles several times, then got out with a weapon. More than 20 officers were injured. A pregnant woman was shot and killed in Asheville, North Carolina, but her baby did survive. The woman was shot several times last night. She was rushed to a hospital but did not make it. No one is in custody. A homicide investigation is now underway. Coming up, Amanda Knox returns to Italy for the first time since she was released from prison. Kelly, thank you. A Carpentersville man is accused of trying to kill his boss. Prosecutors say on Tuesday, Juan J. Rivera called his boss asking to get paid. They agreed to meet outside of Rivera's house. Police say Rivera stabbed his boss in the chest and hand while he was sitting in his car. The man survived and is recovering at a hospital. Rivera was charged with attempted murder and bail was set at $800,000. Court records show he has 3 separate misdemeanor assault cases pending in Kane. A congressional subcommittee holds a hearing next week on slavery reparations. Actor Danny Glover is among those slated to testify. This is the first time the House will examine reparations in over a decade. Proponents say descendants of slaves should get some form of payment for the labor their ancestors were forced to perform. Critics say there's no way to accurately determine who is entitled to reparations and who has to pay them. Tyson is getting into the alternative meat business. Tyson says it will introduce new plant-based products under the Raised and Rooted brand. Veggie nuggets will be made from pea protein and other plant ingredients. The company will also offer blended burgers made from pea protein and Angus beef. Tyson CEO Noel White says the alternative protein market is experiencing double-digit growth and could become a billion-dollar business for the company. Target.com is now offering same-day shipping, just like Amazon and Walmart. Target says certain products can be delivered as soon as in an hour. Customers can now give this service a free 4-week trial. After that, it will cost $99 for unlimited orders of $35 or more, or you can pay $10 for an individual order. One of the survivors of the duck boat that sank in the lake in Missouri in July has filed a lawsuit. Tia Coleman lost her husband, 3 children, and 5 other relatives in the accident. Coleman's lawsuit calls for an end to the manufacture and operation of the amphibious vehicles until they're redesigned for safety. 17 people died when the boat sank at Table Rock Lake in Branson, Missouri. A lot of little boys love trucks and tractors, but in Richmond, Virginia, 6-year-old Sully Wallace put that love to work. When a road crew showed up on his street, he grabbed a shovel, and for the last week, he's been giving them a hand.
Grab your shovel over there. And he.
Well, the work is done, and on the last day, the crew got together and presented Sully with a check for an unforgettable work experience.
Yeah. Those interns are getting younger and younger.
Wow.
Man, I wish I could teach my son to do that. Pick up a broom.
I'm next with this one.
Yeah, shovel the broom. Oh, cute kid. Wanted to update you on that traffic incident we've been following from the last hour that shut down eastbound I-80 between LaGrange and Harlem. The road is back open now. As you can see in these IDOT pictures, traffic is moving slowly, but it is moving in that area. No more details about this accident, which we're hearing did involve a pedestrian. But again, the good news, eastbound I-80 is back open. Tropical Storm Gordon never reached hurricane intensity, but it was a deadly storm. A child was killed when high winds blew down a tree onto a mobile home in Pensacola, Florida. The storm was packing 70-mile-an-hour winds when it made landfall late last night on the Gulf Coast. It's now been downgraded to a tropical depression and is moving inland. The National Hurricane Center predicts total rain amounts of 4 to 8 inches in the Florida Panhandle and parts of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois. In Japan, a typhoon killed at least 10 people and injured more than 450. This was the country's strongest storm in about 25 years. The typhoon forced one of the country's largest airports to close. Hundreds of flights were canceled. Around 3,000 people were stranded overnight. Japan is still under threat of widespread flooding. The always unpredictable Jeff Goldblum was out on the streets in London yesterday promoting his new jazz album. At a busy commuter station, someone wheeled out Elton John's piano into the street, and he showed off his chops. Pretty good too. Goldblum played a little of the Capitol Studio Sessions album and then a little God Save the Queen. This is the country that erected a 25-foot statue of him earlier this year, lounging across from the Tower of London Bridge.
He's got some nice licks there.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, we've got today's top stories coming up next.
We'll be right back. In today's Midday Fix, we are meeting a 12-year-old from Evanston who is one of the contestants for Top Chef Junior Season 2. It begins this weekend. Welcome, Chef Noah Crines. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me here.
This is fantastic because we only had one Chicagoan make it this year, and you're with a pool of kids from the East and West Coast, so you got to really represent Chicago.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you do it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good. So when did you start cooking?
I probably started cooking when I was about 3 years old.
Three?
My dad was just kind of like in the kitchen. I kind of just wanted to do what he was doing, so yeah.
So how old were you when you started putting like meals together?
Oh, probably about 8, 7. Actually starting to like cook like different like breakfast, like omelets and eggs and stuff. Just kind of just starting up and yeah, just going from there.
I'm way older than that, and I still struggle with eggs. What are we making today?
Okay, so today we're making a reverse seared coffee rub New York strip steak, and then I made a potato puree with creme fraiche. I'm making a mushroom Madeira sauce, and I have asparagus. And so
sounds delicious.
Yeah, we're gonna start the Madeira sauce. So
okay, you get started. We're gonna keep chit-chatting while you're cooking.
Sure.
So tell me, when you got on the show, what was the coolest part of all of it?
The coolest part of being on the show was just being able to cook with all the other chefs and just learning a lot, because one, I learned from different chefs, and I also learned from my fellow chefs. And it was
younger chefs too, right?
Yeah. So it was really fun to hang out with them, and they were just like really fun because you could actually like talk to them, and they weren't just like, "What are you talking about?" Because like
they
all
knew.
The other friends, they knew what you were talking about. They weren't just like super confused and like, okay.
That's cool. Who was so I know that there's always celebrity judges and of course the celebrity panel that's on. So any favorite people that you finally got to meet when you're doing it?
Like judges or just like kids?
Judges.
Judges? Well, I mean, I got to meet Curtis and Vanessa O'Shea, and they were both super nice. Like, they were like the nicest people like ever.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, and then I just got to meet a lot of other cool people.
Yeah. Did you learn anything particular, like in the kitchen, that you're now able to put into your repertoire?
Different types, like how to cook seafood and how to, like, different ways, like techniques of how to cook it.
Yeah.
And just a lot of just really cool techniques.
Yeah. So is this something that you want to do as a career?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I'm only 12, so I don't want to go too far ahead, but like...
We're not going to make you put it in writing just yet.
But, yeah, but no, I do think I do want to be a chef when I'm older, for sure.
So what was kind of your big hits? I know you can't give away too much about the show. We just started, so I'm not going to ask the poor kid how far he went. But tell me what some of your favorite feedback you got for some dishes that you did.
I got good feedback about some of my steaks that I made on the show, which was really cool.
Great, because you make one of those for us today.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to make it. But yeah, I got a lot of good, I got people commented on my steak, and it was really cool.
So tell me what you've done so far with your sauce.
So what I've done so far, is that I've been cooking the mushrooms, and I've added shallots and garlic to them. So I just added the wine, and now I'm going to add the beef broth, and I'm going to turn down the heat to a 2.
Is that flour you put in there?
Yeah, I put in flour to thicken.
Okay.
I'm going to take off the heat. It's getting a little bit too hot.
Okay.
And then this is parsley and thyme. So I'm going to add that in there. That just makes it really fragrant. Enough. So I'm just going to let that thicken up a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more beef broth.
Okay.
It's good to adjust it, because if you follow a recipe, it's good. But if you need to adjust it, don't be afraid. No, the recipe said that.
So do you taste test everything as you're going along?
Oh yeah, I do taste stuff while I'm going.
That's good.
So I'm just gonna let that cook. So my cast iron over here is getting hot, so I'm gonna take my steak. So what I did with the steak is I reverse seared it. So I put it in an oven at 250 degrees for about an hour. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sear that. And what reverse searing does is that it makes an even cook, pink throughout. You know when you cook steak on just a regular surface, and you just put it in a ripping hot pan. There's a big medium well part on top if you want medium rare. With the reverse sear, it bakes, and there's no well doneness. It's all pink throughout. So when you sear it, there's only a very little migration of.
Look at you! I never knew that. Yeah. I always thought people seared it and then stuck it in the oven.
Well, you can do that too, but the best way is either sous vide, which is cooking it in a water bath, or reverse searing it. So those are in my opinion, the two best ways. So the mushroom sauce is coming over here. It's getting nice and thick. I'm gonna taste it. Yeah, I really like it because when the wine reduces and it cooks out the alcohol, it's really sweet. Yeah. And then the beef broth is it's just a really good balance. I'm gonna
You're learning all the good words too. I mean, he's throwing all of his Top Chef knowledge at us.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of butter to it, and I'm gonna start to stir it so that the butter emulsifies into it and it doesn't separate.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna stir that and let that sit.
Is this your favorite dish?
This is definitely one of my favorite dishes to make. I like doing the coffee rub on the steak. It gives it a really smoky flavor. And it just gives it, you can't get the same flavor with just normal steak with salt and pepper.
Yeah, but the coffee sounds fantastic.
I
love coffee.
And there's also ancho chili powder in there, and that just gives a little spiciness to it.
All right, well, let me get you to start plating that so we can see your beautiful finished product, because it does look really, really nice.
All right, there we go. So I'm gonna take off the steak. I'm gonna put it on the cutting board. I also have my potato puree right there.
Oh, and you gotta layer your plates, right?
Yeah, okay. So what I'm gonna do with the steak is I'm gonna take the steak and I'm going to cut a nice thick piece.
I wouldn't even let my 8-year-old touch a knife, so in fact, your dad's a brave man.
Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my potato puree. I'm just gonna take a good little spoonful of it.
All right, you keep doing that. I want to make sure everyone gets the information out about the show so they don't miss any of it. The premiere of Top Chef Junior Season 2 airs September 8th. For more information, visit universalkids.com, and you can find Chef Noah on Instagram. Thanks so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Thank you.